fact that we have our mentor with us already. So it is going to be a very, very great session. Just to give a little bit of introduction about academia, I'm sure that most of us that are here, you're in the community, so you already know about academia. But perhaps we have people that are just joining us, and you probably are hearing about academia for the first time. Academia was built to help people and small businesses build capacity, and we have major focus on um, programs or courses or trainings that helps or can help individuals build capacity in product and growth oriented fields. And some of the programs or that we have done in time past and we are going to be doing future are they are tailored towards those that are looking to transition into, let's say, tech, or those that are already in tech and they're trying to upskill, or for those that are senior professionals that are looking to gain more experience or gain more knowledge. This is what we do, or this is why academia was created and founded, so that we can help. I'm sure a lot you've heard this a lot of time, but then we can help close or bridge the gap, the skill gap that currently exists in our country, Nigeria, or maybe Africa as a whole. And one of the unique ways we're doing that is to help beginners, for example, or those who are already professionals. Um, Connect them with mentors, just like you're going to be listening to honorary mentors today. So we'll help, we'll bring honorary mentors or mentors that have significant experiences in their own fields. They've been able to build a lot of traction. They've been able to build they know what it takes to start right from from year one in their careers to where they are today. So we bring these honorary mentors to talk to you, give you guidance. You can ask them questions. You can talk to them about, or you can listen to how to build their careers. They were able to go past some of the challenges that you may be facing right now, or some of the challenges that you may not know you're going to face, and they're going to share them with you. And they're going to share their own personal experiences on how they were able to navigate this challenges. Also, they will be able to talk about specific topics that, like, we're going to be talking about, they are going to be talking about today. So this was why academia was created. Like I said before, it was created specifically to help individuals that are probably starting out their careers, or you're looking to transition into another field, or you are a senior already, you're looking to gain more knowledge, because knowledge is never a waste. So you're looking to gain more knowledge in your field. This was why we created academia. Then we go on to make sure that after we've been able to, I think earlier this year, we did some programs for senior tech sales and senior business development professionals. And also we did a program for founders as well. So for those who are professionals who are probably not founders, we help build a pipeline that connects, professionals, career professionals, young career professionals with the founders that we have within the institute or within our network. So this way we're creating a seamless flow of talent from to founders that need the talents, and also from young professionals that are looking to work with amazing organizations and amazing founders. So this is the hallmark of academia. This is why we created academia. The vision is to make sure that we're able to contribute our own quota. I'm sure everybody probably has heard of this, and a lot of people talk about that they are trying to bridge a gap, but we're looking to contribute our own quota to making sure that that skill gap is reduced significantly. All right, so I am sure that this provides some more insight into academia, and this is majorly for those that are probably just joining us and you have not been on the community before. But those that have been on the community before, I am very, very sure that you already have an idea of what academia is all about. So once again, welcome to today's session. I am just going to go right into introducing our mentors, our honorary mentors. I think for those that are active on the community, you must have been seeing the boards, you must have been seeing a lot of excitement, you must have been seeing back to back reminders and messages about the mentors. So the mentors you've been reading about, the mentors you've read great things about, you've seen their profiles. Some of you have checked them out on LinkedIn. These mentors, you are meeting them today. You're going to be speaking with them today. Today's session is split into two. Um, we're going to be having Mr. Samuel Lasisi, who is going to be taking the first session. And after that, we're going to be having Mr. Israel Naoma. I want to believe that I pronounced that well. I try to learn that how to pronounce the name today, but I hope that I did justice to it. So you're going to be hearing them speak today. And it is going to be, trust me, it is going to be a very exciting session. So I'll just go straight into just introducing our first mentor. Mr. Samuel is a seasoned product designer with over 5 years of professional expertise. And I just need to, let me chip this in, is one of the top LinkedIn product design voices. So for those that are active on LinkedIn, I'm sure that you know what that means. So he has a lot of experience. He has mentored over 400 aspiring designers. And then as the founder of VDAC, he's been able to help these designers that are, starting their own careers, just like some of us that are here today. He has been able to help them shape, build capacity, then shape how they see product design or how they get into the tech space or tech ecosystem altogether. So he has a lot of experiences working with organizations like Sycamore, Sunfy, NEO Retails, and Supply. And he currently works as a product design lead at University, SR, student recruitment. He currently works as a product design lead for student recruitment at the University of Nottingham. So if you're super excited about having our mentor here, I just want you to drop some emojis in the chat. Welcome them. You can clap for them in the chat. Show that you appreciate their presence today. For them to have spared time to be here with us, it's a very great privilege. So try to please appreciate them. And also we have our second mentor, Mr. Israel Naoma, a product designer, and he's a musician. So I want to believe that some of us here must have listened to his song somehow, somewhere. You probably must have listened to a song and you probably did not know if it was the one. But then I am hoping that before he goes on to the session, he probably talks a little bit about that. But then he's a product designer and a musician. He's based in Lagos. He has over 4 years of experience in product design. He's worked on, he has a background in web development. So when you talk about merging or mixing product design and understanding the technical intricacies as to how to bring those designs to life, he understands that. And this is very important for those of you that are still beginners, that are looking to start your career in UI UX design. It's very, very important that you understand it is not just about designing and creating a lot of visual assets or visual elements and then bringing those things to life. It becomes a difficulty. So it is very important that, as a product designer or UI UX designer, you have this understanding. So he has extensive understanding of web development because he has a background in that, and he has collaborated and contributed to exceptional products across diverse sectors, and he currently works as a senior product designer at Clafia. I'm sure some of us must know Clafia, a leading health tech startup in Nigeria. So make welcome our mentors for today. So please put your hands together in the chat, drop some emojis, appreciate them, appreciate their time for being with us today. So welcome our mentors. We sincerely appreciate the time you've given to us to be here today. Thank you so much for the sacrifice. All right, so we're going to go straight into today's session, and I think we're right on time. We have our first mentor, and that's Mr. Samuel Lasisi. You can, I want to believe that you're there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly I can hear you.
Okay, okay, great, great, great. So I'm pretty sure that we're good to go. But then Mr. Samuel is going to be talking about the effective strategies that you as a product designer can, or UI UX designer. I think the popular word is product design, but then when you look at it deeply, you want to talk about, or you want to break it down into UI UX. So he's going to be talking about the effective strategies to launching a career as a UI UX designer. Um, Thank you so much for being here. Please welcome Mr. Israel once again. I mean, Mr. Samuel once again, and you can go right ahead. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Israel, for that. Really, really interesting, introduction right there. Yeah, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining this call, and thank you for the institute for inviting me as well. I really, really appreciate it. So I'm not going to waste your time at all because I have just about um, 30 minutes to do this. I have so much to share, I must say first. I have so much to share, but I'm really hoping that this 30 minutes is going to be enough for us to cover all of this interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So, we're talking about the effective strategies for launching your UX UI design career. But before I move forward, I would like to confirm if everybody can hear me and if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you clearly. I want to believe that everyone else can as well.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Perfect.
Please drop in the chat if you can hear him. Okay, great.
Yeah, just wanted to be sure before I continue. I don't want anybody missing anything. So my name is Samuel. We've already done the introduction. I'm a product designer. I currently work as a product design lead for software equipment at the University of Nottingham in England. I'm also a design educator. I really love doing this. I really love sharing my knowledge with people. I really love, telling people about UX UI and then guiding them into starting their own design career, right? And this all comes from a place of personal experience, the way I started my own career and, the bottlenecks that I had along the way. I just want to make sure that, people don't have that same, problem launching their own design career. And that is exactly why I'm here today. So, what are you going to be learning in this webinar? We said we're talking about strategies for launching your UX UI design career. I'm going to show you 4 steps to launching your design career. That's one. And then I will also let you know why UX UI is one of the best tech career paths that exists. And then moving forward, I will tell you how you can stand out in a saturated market because you get to see a lot of people say, I just finished a boot camp, I just finished a course now, I can't get a job. There are actually ways for you to navigate that, right? And then the last thing I would tell us today would be the role of continuous learning in professional development. Now I've finished the boot camp, now I've learned these things, I've already started my UX UI design career. How do you continue to learn? How do you make sure that you are up to date as a designer? Because that is the exact reason why designers exist. That's because people change, product change, right? I'll get to that in a minute, but let's get started quickly. The first step to help you navigate or launch your UX UI design career would be to understand the landscape. You see, when you cannot understand something, you most likely will not be able to know where to come in or where you fit in the bigger picture. Now, in the olden days, right? Olden days, when I say olden days, is just about 10, 15 years ago, anyways. It's old, anyways. So, we've had one product change and it has evolved into more complex products. For example, we had at some point we were using the Nokia 3310 and moved on to flip phones, slide phones, the Express Music if you use all those ones. And then we moved on to the screen touch phones with buttons, and then now there's no button on any phone anymore except for the side, right? And as all of this technology evolves, right, needs evolve, and new jobs are being created alongside this technological advancement and user needs. Now, looking at the design landscape, the UX UI design landscape, there are so many disciplines just within that landscape that you can explore as a designer. So the first thing you want to do when you are trying to launch your UX UI career is to understand that landscape, understand that industry. What are the opportunities that are open to me, right? For example, within UX UI landscape or UX UI umbrella, you might say you just want to be a UX designer, want to focus on the user experience of products, or you want to just be a UI designer, just want to focus on the interfaces of products, right? Or you want to be an AR, VR designer, augmented reality, building augmented reality, building things for virtual world, still under the umbrella of user experience, user interface designs, right? You can even decide that, oh, I don't want to even design at all. I want to start writing UX copies, right? Those are user experience copies. That means that I would only be writing those texts that you see on your website. There are actually people that are meant to write those things. For example, you visit Paystack's website, you'll see it will say we are the foremost leading fintech, blah, 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 blah. Somebody thought about that, thought about how that would resonate with their target audience and why they should use that exact sentence in that exact place for conversion purposes. So all of these things that you see on your on websites, on web apps, they are actually well thought through, a body of work, right, that are done by specific individuals that in specific disciplines within the UX UI umbrella. So you want to understand the landscape. Where do I fit in? Where do my strengths fit in, right? Where do my skill fit in? For example, I used to be a content writer. I want to go into UX UI design. What can I do? You will most likely thrive as a UX writer, right? So that means that you are writing copies that actually work and convert, right? For example, I'm a graphic designer and I want to move into UX UI design. There is a particular space for you, right, that you can fit into. I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's just one point out of so many points that I have to share with you guys today. So you also want to understand, after understanding the landscape, you want to understand the trends and the opportunities that are available. Where is the world going? You don't want to, okay, after understanding the landscape, you don't want to pick up a role or a discipline that is going to soon become, not so important in the nearest future, right? So you want to make sure that, whatever role or whatever discipline you're picking within the UX UI umbrella is future proof. For example, you would notice that Apple just released Vision Pro products, right? And then, that kind of bettered the whole era of spatial UI designs, right? In the sense that we are building designs that fits into actual environments, right? So the design kind of blends into an actual environment and you can interact with it. That's some kind of UI design or UX UI design, but on a different level for VRs, for virtual reality, right? Or augmented reality. So you might want to see, okay, where do I fit in and how does this role I want to go, I want to go for, right? Where does it fit within the current trends, right? So that's things that you need to look out for. And I'm going to talk about the current trends in UX UI. I will just touch on that for a minute or two after this slide. Then the third thing, you need to understand what skills, what competencies are required for me to launch or to break into UX UI designs, right? You need to, basic things, use of computer. You need to know, how to listen to people. You need to know how to, ask your questions properly. Just very basic, soft skills is actually what you would need. So understand the industry, understand the trends, and understand the skills required. That's the very first step to launching your UX UI design career. Now let's talk about evolving, right? I talked about the UX UI design landscape or the product design landscape evolving. That means it changes from time to time. And I use the analogy of the Nokia phone that has changed into full touchscreen phones, right? The reason why that happens is because users change. And as UX UI designer, at the core of everything we do, in fact, in at the beginning of our name as designers of our title, you would see user in front, user interface, UI, user experience, UX. So that kind of tells us that at the core of everything we do, of every decision we make, is users, right? And these users that we're making these decisions for are ever changing. So that means that their needs change. What they want would change, right? Last year, last 2 years, we didn't really know so much about the AIs, the perplexities, the Geminis and the rest, right? We didn't know so much about all of that. But this year, a lot of people are infusing AI into their work, right? That means that people's needs change, their wants change, and by so doing, products kind of evolve. You would start to notice in your Gmail, you will see a little bar at the side that now has a Gemini. It can summarize your emails for you and all of that. That did not exist some couple of months ago, right? So change happens, right? And that is why new trends happen, right? I talked about AR, VR, and spatial UI, right? Talked about AI and design. So things change. So when you are trying to determine or define what where you fit in as a designer, you need to study these trends and understand these trends. So I have a little discussion for us here, but I don't think I'll be able to take that because I don't have so much time and I have so much to share with you guys today. So will AI replace designers? And we've been hearing all of that. AI replacing people, taking people's jobs, and all of that. So will it happen for designers? Most likely it wouldn't because our work comes from a creative place. We have some kind of analytical work as part of what we do, but most of our work or the bulk of our work comes from a creative space. And when you are working when you're doing something creative, you most likely wouldn't be able to automate those things, right? And at the core of what we do, right, is empathy, right? So if you're a designer, you understand that the first thing you need to do when you are solving a problem for users is to empathize with them. That is, put yourself in their shoes, experience what they experience, and feel, their pain, right? Understand how they think, right? So that empathy is something that only humans can have. You understand? So AI would not replace, designers, just to keep that in quickly. Now, the step two, what about step one? I said the first thing you need to do, step one is to understand the landscape. Now, step two is to now kickstart your learning. I'm so sorry. Please give me a minute. I think someone's on my door. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the step two is to kickstart your learning. Now that you've understand the landscape, it's time to start learning. Now, the first thing you want to do to kickstart your learning is to set clear goals. How do I kickstart? What do I do? Okay, how do I start? Right? In the next 5, 6 months, where do I want to be? So you have to define all of these milestones for yourself to effectively launch into UX UI design to effectively launch a UX UI design career, right? The first thing is to join a boot camp, join a program like what we're doing here right now at Academia, right? It's a very good way to start, right? Join it, kind of join their class, start learning, give yourself 2, 3 months to learn, right? Immerse yourself into the learning environment as well. Set goals in the next 4 months, the next 5 months. What do I want to do? Okay, after learning, what then happens, right? Set short-term and long-term objectives. In 6 months or in 10 months, I want to start, applying for internship roles. I want to start doing A or B or C in 6 months, right? Step one, understand the landscape, pick where you fit in. Step two, start doing the actual learning and start setting goals around your learning that can actually help you break in, right? So as part of kickstarting your learning is to identify your strengths, right? As a person or as a designer, what are your unique strengths? What makes you stand out, right? For one person, it might be their design skills. Maybe they, from where they were coming from, they were designers, they were graphic designers before, and now they're UX UI designer, I mean. So they have that unique strength, right? To make very beautiful UI designs, right? Aesthetically pleasing. Your unique strength might be talking to people. Maybe you are an admin assistant and you talk to people every day. That is a very, very good strength, right? That you can bring into UX UI design. And that's one thing I really love about UX UI design. I'm going to talk about why UX UI design is one of the best, tech career paths in a minute. So identifying your strength, just identify what you know how to do from wherever you're coming from. It doesn't matter, what you were doing before moving into UX UI. That would be a strength for you. For example, if you're an admin assistant, like I said before, you might be able to talk to people a lot more, conduct interviews, conduct focus group sessions, run workshops, which is part of the core things that we do as designers, right? So moving on quickly, why is UX UI one of the best tech career path? I will just breeze through this one quickly just because I want to be able to meet up with the 30 minutes time that I have, right? The first reason is because it is in high demand. I already talked about this before. We have high demand for UX UI designers in the sense that new products are coming out every day and people's needs, human needs, are ever evolving. There was a time we were saving our money with these men that would carry big books and do a job and come every day, that's their job, right? But now it's being digitized, right? Or digitalized, right? Whichever one, right? And then people actually save their money, lock it in the pot until they're ready to collect it. you know Things change. Somebody must have built that product, a designer must have been involved, right? So as a UX UI designer as well, you don't need to understand coding or know any coding or have any coding skills. That's one thing that actually send people away from tech. When they hear, oh, you have to start writing code, they kind of shy away from it, and then they don't really, they're not really interested because they think, oh, it's going to be hard. Good news is that as a UX UI designer, you would not need to write a single line of code, right? And you can build a successful design career just like that. Another thing is you have remote work opportunities, just like every other tech opportunity, tech roles, right? You have remote opportunities. You can work anywhere in the world as a designer. And the good thing is that if you were a lawyer, for example, in Nigeria, and you want to start practicing law, right, in another country, you might have to start to learn the way they practice the law there. What are the laws there? What happens if this happens? Right? In Nigeria, it might be a different thing, right? There, in the country you're working, you're going to be working with or working, it might be a different thing, right? If you were an HR executive in Nigeria and then you want to work with an international company, the HR laws, human resource laws might be different, right? But good news is that as a UX UI designer, the way we solve problem, the different problem solving methodologies that is being used in Nigeria is the same that is used anywhere in the world, right? So that means that you can easily work with people regardless of where you are, right? And you can easily earn in dollars, earn in pounds, whatever currency that is, right? So you can easily transition from any previous work experience. I've already talked about this. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. There is always a skill to transfer, because looking at this role, this UX UI design role, um, we interact with people every day. At the core of what we do is people, right? And there is no way you will be coming from any discipline at all, any work experience that you have, that you wouldn't have interacted with humans, right? So that interaction point is a piece that you can bring into your UX UI, design career, and use it as a strength. Now, competitive salaries, there's no point explaining this. You get, paid as a techie, right? There is ability for exponential growth, right? And then you can have very, very juicy benefits. Um, then your certificates might not be the most important thing. It's your skill. You don't even have a master's degree or a PhD or MBA to get to the best positions that you want to be, right? So that's why UX UI design is one of the best career paths, that tech career paths that exists. Okay, I have another interactive session here, but I'm really careful again of the time. I don't really want to spend so much time, but let's do this quickly. If you have the opportunity as a UX UI designer to redesign an app, right? Which app would that be? If you have the opportunity to redesign any app or any product, any website, which website or app would that be? Can you put that in the chat? Let's do that for the next 2 minutes. Is it your bank app? Is there something you don't like about a particular app you're using that you think can be better? If you have the opportunity and the ability, and you will redesign it. Okay, Onyinye said a bank app. Which bank app is that? Any other person, is okay. Onyinye said Wise. Okay, she has the opportunity to redesign. Oh, Yahoo Mail, Mamos David. I think I would agree with you on that. is like due for a redesign. Okay, Trip by Bilby said WhatsApp. Okay, interesting one. There's this new WhatsApp channel thingy that just came up and just disrupted the way we experience WhatsApp status, right? So if I had the ability to, I would want to kind of look at that. Oh, these Google Meets, somebody does not like these Google Meets. Here, Coyote said if he has the opportunity, he's going to redesign Google Meets. Okay, Pampe Bakadia said Pampe would be what they would be redesigning if they have the opportunity to redesign anything. TikTok, Ogumola Stella, that's a really good one. BFD Microfinance Hub, Elichi, that's good. That's good. I mean, yeah, so what we do, right, as designers is to make experiences better for people. So that means that we are improving existing products or even building new ones, right, to make them even more usable for people, right? So it's good that you're able to identify, you know, issues with one or two apps that you have and you think they need redesigns. That's one skill that a designer must have. Okay, Elechi said VFD, Taiwo said Pocket App. Wow, really good. So let's move on from this quickly. I think it was really, really, really good to get you guys feedback on that one. Step three. Talk about step one was to understand the landscape, if you remember. Step two is to actually kickstart your learning. Step three is to build a portfolio. Now that you've learned, UX UI design, maybe you joined academia and then you started a boot camp and then you learned, you've set your goals. You're like in the next 6 months, you want to start an internship position and you want to join a startup as a junior designer, whatever. What you need to do as a third step is to build your portfolio, right? So your portfolio is, simply put, the body of work that showcases your expertise. So that means that you have designed something and then you can present it to people to say, oh, this is what I've designed. This is why you should hire me for this job because I can design something like this for your business as well. That's what a portfolio would say, right? But it's a little bit more than that in the sense that it's a curated collection of your best work and projects that showcases your skill, experience, and design capability. So that means that it's not just about the designs that you put in your portfolio. Oh, I've made this couple of screens and it looks good. Now I can start applying for job with it. It's also about the way you are explaining your processes, right? So not just the designs, but the processes, your problem solving capacity as a designer should shine forth in your portfolio. So that means that you need to be able to explain to a potential employer how you're able to come about that design in your portfolio, or how you're able to solve that problem that was identified within one of your case studies. Let's talk about that quickly. I made a quick note here. I said that the tech labor market is highly competitive, and one thing that can set you apart is a well curated portfolio. So that means that, truth be told, UX UI, like I said before, is one of the best career paths, right, in tech. And because of that, we have so many people trying to become UX UI designers. And because of that, we have boot camps getting filled up, with people intending to want to become designers. And because of that, we have hundreds of graduates every 3 months with UX UI designer tags behind their names, right? But how do you stand out among these hundreds of graduates from hundreds of different schools? It is by actually showcasing your skill, right, and experience adequately. We have a very saturated market, right? But certain people, right, stand out, and that's because they showcase their skills and their expertise properly. They properly define the problems that they are solving in their case studies, right? They properly explain their processes. And truth be told, it's even more than, your technical skills. That's just one part of it. The second aspect of the skills that you should have as a designer will be your soft skills, right? So that's why I used to tell people that it doesn't matter how good you are able to design. If you cannot explain your processes, then you will not be able to convince people, right? So soft skills as well is one thing that can make you stand out in a saturated market. Let's go to the next slide quickly. What does your portfolio actually do? It helps you showcase your skills. It helps you demonstrate your problem solving abilities. It helps you show personal growth and differentiate yourself, right? So for people that don't know what a portfolio is, a portfolio does just mean just shows, the work that you have done in the past. Oh, I have built XYZ app in the past, and this is how I built it. These are the different processes that I went through to be able to build this app, right? So that's what your portfolio really do. And then again, it also showcases some things about you. Oh, this is Samuel. He does this in his spare time. He does that. This is why he's a great designer. He has worked here and worked there and done this and done that. Right. So it shows your problem solving abilities. It shows your personal growth, and it helps you kind of differentiate yourself. And that's why I used to tell people you need to put some personal touch into your portfolio, right? Personalize it so it doesn't look like every other portfolio that an hiring manager must have seen before, right? Please let me know if I'm running out of time so that I can speed up, right? Um, so I have another interactive session that I just want to quickly do in the next 2-3 minutes. I want you all to think about a product or a service that you think stands out to you, that you love using because the user experience stands out to you, right? And what do you think makes it stand out? For example, for me, a product that stands out is my bank app because it makes my life easier, right? And another product that I think stands out for me, I think I like CarryWise because it helps me to save my money without being able to touch it, right? So I want you guys to write in the chat what app or what platform do you think you like that stands out to you and why? Quickly, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Anybody? Just type in the chats. OP. Did someone just say OP? Oh yeah, somebody said Piggy Vest. That's really good. Piggy Vest stands out. Oh, you didn't tell us why. Okay, Coyote said X standard, that's Twitter, stands out for him, and the look is not complex at all. I really like that. Simplicity is the beauty of products, right? When your product is simple enough, people get to use it, right? And when people use your products, you're able to fulfill or to meet your business goals as well. And that's one thing that differentiates a product designer from a UX UI designer, just to keep that in while people are writing things. A product designer kind of look broadly, you know, outside just the user, and also looks into the business requirements. What does the business want to achieve, right? So they have that kind of whole, view, right, of the user goals and the business goals, and then they become that binding piece, right, between those two, parties, right? The UX UI designer focuses on the user experience and the user interfaces, right? Not so much about the business goals, but yeah, of course, the business goal is going to be there, but a product designer is very focused on that one, right? Somebody said, OPay is so easy to navigate. I love that. Shipped by Bilbies. I didn't used to like OPay, but it looks like they've really done well so far. Phoenix app always updating me with latest news and information. That's good. That's good. I like your approach, Mamus. Some people would rely on Twitter for news, latest news. Taiwo Sunday, WhatsApp on Android is a very good one. Okay, very good. Shoots. Yeah, they have, right. Okay, good one. Yeah. Okay. Taiwo has both WhatsApp on iOS and Android, but it's not like WhatsApp on Android. Interesting one. Okay, let's move on quickly without wasting so much time. I've talked about, three steps. Now, let's talk about how your portfolio can help you actually get jobs as a UX UI designer. But there's so many designers showcasing their work, but how do you now create your own portfolio to make it stand out and capture people's attention? Right. The first thing you want to do is to define your unique proposition. This is really long. I'll just walk through this one, breeze through it quickly. Right. What sets you apart as a UX UI designer? I've talked about this before. What is unique about you? What unique experiences are you bringing out from your previous workplace? Right. That gives you an edge over the other people. I was asked that question, when I was starting out as a designer. I was transitioning from a graphic designer into UX UI a couple of years ago. And somebody asked me that question. What makes you stand out? Why should we hire you? I just told them that, what? I have transferable skills from where I was coming from. I used to be a graphic designer. I've been doing graphic design for like 2, 3 years at that time, or even more. And apart from being a graphic designer, I have other skills. At some point, I called myself a multidisciplinary designer because I have so many design skills. Apart from just designing, I can do motion graphics, video editing, animation, and all of those, interesting stuff. And I sold that to the person that was going to hire me for a UX UI design position, right? And that kind of stood up for them, right? In the sense that because I have those extra skills, when they want to make micro interactions or animations on their website, I could do that as well, right? So that kind of brings me out of the crowd. So you will also have something that sets you apart from the competition, right? So you need to define it. What's that unique thing that you have? Can you actually talk to people? Are you a good listener? Right? Those things. Um, you focus on impact and results in your portfolio. What differentiates your portfolio from other portfolios is actually, okay, we've seen this beautiful design that you've made, we've seen your beautiful processes, but what's the impact? What's the result? What are your learnings? You need to pinpoint what you learned from each product. I used to tell my students, the most important part of your UX case study is that part where you tell them your learnings, right? What have you learned in this process? Right? What's the design impact? What impact does your product have? Right? If you can show metrics to say, oh, 500 people have used this product, or 30 people have used it so far, and it works really good. We got very good feedback from people, blah, 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 blah. Focus on that and show that in your portfolio. The next thing is to tell a story. There is a way to make people read your case study and then they're interested to continue reading it. The funny thing is that hiring managers looking through case studies, they don't really have the time to actually read it. They just kind of skim through, and if it's interesting, you get them glued, right? And if you get them glued, you most likely have a chance at interviewing. So you want to use your portfolio, your case studies to tell a story. Moving on quickly. Number four, the step four. Remember step one, understand the landscape. Step two, kickstart your learning experience. Step three, Step three is what? Build a portfolio, right? I'm just going to go back quickly. Step three means is build a portfolio. Now, step four, which is the last step, is to learn continuously. And this one is very, very important, even for people that are just kickstarting their design career. Keep it up with trends, right? I said that at the very beginning of this class, not a class, webinar. Keep up with the trends, right? You need to make sure that as a designer, you are always updating. You're always updated, right? That's actually the main thing you can do for yourself. The best thing you can do for yourself as a designer, right? Make sure that you're not being left behind, right? make sure that you're keeping up with the trend. The next one would be improving your UI design skills. Now, as a designer that has just finished the boot camp in step 2 that I mentioned, what you want to really focus on is improving your UX UI design skills. And one way you can do that to improve your UI design skill is to replicate other people's work, right? What work stands out to you? What looks good to you? You want to keep replicating it. So you replicate those work until you actually have it in your mind. You actually know the way it looks. Now, replicating other people's work, that means redesigning other people's work, kind of immerse you into the different patterns at which great products are being built, right? So you get to know where the buttons would be normally. And then there's a UX law that states that users expect your product to look the same way that they've seen other products work. So that means that, if you are redesigning existing products, right, you're building a pattern in your head that you're able to use to influence your own design decisions in the future, right? So the next thing you need to do for continuous learning is to cultivate collaborations, join communities. I cannot emphasize this enough, right? You need, as a designer, you cannot thrive in isolation, right? There's so many things that a community can do for you. Open you up to opportunities, one. Second, give you access to exclusive events like this one, right? And collaborate. It allows you to collaborate with your peers, people that are already in that in the same stage with you. I talk about this a lot as well. When you collaborate with people that are in the same stage with you, they kind of help you grow. They kind of help you learn, push you to learn, right? And next thing that would help you develop professionally as a UX UI designer is to post your work, right? People are always very shy. Oh, I'm not a good designer yet. I don't have 4 years of experience. I only have 1 year. Or I just finished a boot camp. I don't want to post my work so people will not yab me, right? That shouldn't be the case, right? You should always post your work. Let criticism shape you. And that means that you should always try to accept feedback, especially when you're just starting out, right? Use that feedback to improve. Take it as a way to become a better designer. And very soon you start seeing you know, less corrections on your work and more of, oh wow, nice one, oh wow, nice one. And that way you are building your own confidence, right? And apart from building your confidence, there's so many other benefits that posting your work or putting yourself out there can do for you. I know of a particular very popular designer that told me that she has never really applied for jobs. She has always gotten referrals and referrals from social media because she posts her jobs, her work, her designs on Twitter or on LinkedIn. People will just reach out to her and say, "Oh, we want you to join our team. We will pay you this amount. Can you start onto so and so date?" Sometimes they don't even interview because they have actually seen your work, they like it, and that's why they're reaching out to you, right? So post your work, let people give you corrections or commendations, and you are exposing yourself to opportunities, right? By doing so. The last way to develop professionally, especially as a newbie designer, is to volunteer, right? Most of the time, people will ask you, "Oh, do you have life projects?" That means, do you have projects that are built, that is online, that is working, that people can actually use? The very best way to do that is to actually volunteer. Ask to offer to join a team and be a part of their UI design team. And even by volunteering, you can be converted into, a full staff. You can use the project you built there, even if you are not their staff, as part of your case studies to say, "Oh, well, I actually worked on this," and you can always be proud of your contribution to that project. All right. That would be the 4 steps that I have for you today, guys. I hope I was on time. I think I used about 30 minutes. So I'm happy to take questions now. I know that there is a question part, right, in the agenda, but I'm not sure if
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
perfect, perfect. All right. So I'm happy to take everybody's question. I really like this part because it doesn't matter the kind of question that you have, right? I'm happy to answer all your questions, even if it is the simplest of questions. So please, I want you to maybe put your question in the chat. If you're happy to unmute, I'm happy to, listen as well. So please let's start asking questions. How can I get started? What can I do? Please put your question in the chat, or if you want to unmute, if that's fine. Anybody? Questions? Questions? How do I find these communities to join? Very good question, Izu. I mean, you've already started by joining this call, right? This is a community. I think when Israel was introducing this session, he said there's a community, right? So this is one community that you already have, right? The way to find other communities is to connect with people online, right? Go into LinkedIn where these professionals like you are, right? Go to LinkedIn, go to Twitter, look at, just do your very small search, right, on LinkedIn design communities, or go to a designer's profile that I really like. They will most likely have a community that they belong to. Most time, people in tech usually have one or two communities, so it's quite easy to find one, right? Just as you found this one, you'll find a lot more. All right, more questions. Israel, please let me know when it's time to stop. I
Okay.
use
Yeah, I think you can go ahead for a few more minutes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Oye says I use Figma. Is it advisable to learn other design software or just stick to the one I know? Very, very important question right there. Thank you, Oye, for that. Now, it depends. It depends on multiple things. It depends on your goal. What are you trying to achieve? What is your proficiency level with Figma in itself? And what is the industry standard tool? Right? If you know what the industry standard tool is, most of the time it's either Figma or Sketch or XD, right? Which one you want to stick with? Most companies will use Figma these days because it's like one of the most standard ones tools right there, right? So if you use Figma, you are on the right path. But do you want to add other design tools? Maybe, maybe not, right? Because it depends on the time you have, one, what your focus is right now, right? It is learning tools or to learning design in itself, right? It's two different things, right? She said some job requirements ask for proficiency in Sketch, in Vision, and Adobe XD. The funny thing about all of this is that they will only use one of them. They will not use multiple. You won't find one design team using both Sketch and Figma at the same time, except they're trying to transition into one, right? So they won't most likely use both of them. Just pick one, to be honest. Pick one to learn it, learn how to use it, become an expert in that. And that would be it, right? So, but you can also learn other ones if you have the time. Like I said before, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. I've also gone ahead to learn multiple tools when I was starting out. I learned, in fact, after I started out, I started designing. I learned, tools like Protopie, right? But I figured that I have never actually seen a company use Protopie. So I stopped it. So I stopped learning it because it's not actually adding any value to me anymore, right? It's not, I won't go to Protopie to prototype a product before my developers can build it. I think the prototyping tool in Figma in itself is enough. So I just figured that that would be a waste of my time to learn that tool. Okay, another question would be, how can I grow my network in the UX design industry? By following people, right? Follow people. We have academia here. Follow their page. Look under their page. Follow people that they follow, right? Maybe they most likely will believe in those people. That's why they follow them. Follow the people that they invite to sessions like this. You can follow Israel. You can follow myself if you want. That's how to build your connection, right? Reach out to people, reach out to peers, join communities, right? That's how to build your network in the UX UI design industry. I made that mistake when I was starting out. I thought I could be a lone wolf, but you can't really go, that fast, right? When you are going alone, you go far, you know, you go far, right? When you go with people, right? So it's very important, right, to actually grow your network. And how you can do that is actually look at places like LinkedIn will be the best. In fact, you get countless suggestions on people that you can actually follow. Send DMs to people that you find interesting as well. Because I've come, okay, what can I do when I get tired? When you get tired as a designer, you sleep, right? Or you do things that you do things that interests you, right? Sometimes when I get tired, I just play games on my Xbox, right? I just kind of relax my brain because most of the time it's your brain telling you to rest, right? Or you take a walk, right? If that's the kind of tired you're talking about, right? So you just rest, take a walk, free up your brain, make sure that you are, your mind is clear, then you come back to work. Um, as a beginner, is it advisable to learn with real life projects like redesigning a Jumia app, or is it okay to replicate designs from Dribble and other similar? As a designer, design anything you can design. Just keep designing. Just keep design. It doesn't matter if it is Jumia or a Dribble app. Just design. Design anything, right? And you know one trick, right? There's a law that is a 10,000 rule, right? That means that it says that if you do something for 10,000 minutes or 10,000 hours or 1,000 hours, right? You become an expert in it. So that means that if you keep designing and designing, it doesn't matter what you're designing, to be honest. If you keep designing and designing, you will eventually get very good at it, right? So just design. You don't really have to pay so much attention to where the source is from. If you find it really good and find it interesting, go ahead and design it. You don't have to start choosing or start making preferences. Say it has to be real life or it has to be, a dribble design. Viral Patel. Can we all share our LinkedIn profiles to chat about this session? That's okay. If Academia Institute allows that. Yeah, I think they will talk more about that. Ifeanyi Ezekiel. I'm a music writer, script writer. Where in design industry do you have settled in? I said at the beginning of this class that you need to focus on, where your strength lies, right? There is a big, markets, sorry, discipline sets within design itself, right? Again, I was talking about UX writing. If you're already a writer, maybe UX writing could be a path for you to follow, right? Because it's still the same thing, but there is just certain things that you look out for, right? In UX writing that might be different from content writing, right? So look at what your strength is, one, and then look at the disciplines available for you within the UX UI landscape and make your own decisions, right? I might not be able to advise you on the best one because it's going to be you practicing at the end of the day, right? So just um, your current skill versus the skill sets or the disciplines available in the UX UI landscape, then make your decision. Um, Israel Ayodele, can you share your LinkedIn profile here in the community? Okay, Israel
Yeah,
said you
that's
can.
me.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Um, yeah, thank you so much. If there's no other question, I think this is going to be the end of my session. I hope I was able to, you know, to convince and not to confuse you. All right. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much, guys, for having me
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate, or we appreciate, you making our time for us to be here today. I think one fun thing I should mention is that Mr. Samuel is also a creative designer. So I am pretty sure that not just also, he is a senior product, I mean, creative designer. He has done a lot of work in creative designs. We had an experience. I think that he gave me an insight some days ago. So he is a senior creative designer. So for those of you that are here, I know we've had conversations, and some people are asking if they can do both, or if you can do one and then do the other. I mean, the knowledge is never lost. So he is a great example of someone who has done both creative design and product design or UI UX design. So if that is something that interests you as well, I think you can explore it as well. But then, thank you so much for your time, Samuel. It's been a great privilege to have hosted you on this session. I think there's one question that you probably missed. Um, just let me go quickly. Okay, so Ifeanyi was saying, I'm asked, I am a music writer, script writer. where in design industry do you advise me to settle in?
Yeah, I think I answered that. Yeah, I think
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
think I yeah.
Okay.
I would just maybe I should just summarize what I said. So I was saying that as a music writer, right, you need to just focus on what your strength is, right? What's your strength, right? And then also look at what are the disciplines available in design, right? Then you're able to tell, right? It might be UX writing, right? You're still writing, but it's just in a different for a different audience in a different way, right? So that might be it, but it's going to eventually rest on you to make that decision, right? Because you're going to be the one to actually practice it. So look at all the disciplines that exist in the UX UI landscape and kind of map it out with what you currently do and see where you fit in. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I
Welcome.
think we are good to go. We can move into the next session now. Thank you once again, Mr. Samuel, for your time. It's been a great privilege to have hosted you on this session. So, with our taking so much time, I believe we can go right into the next session, and we're going to be having Mr. Israel speak next, and he's going to be sharing practical experiences around the fundamentals of UI UX. Also, he's going to be doing a quick tutorial demo on how you start using Figma. So I know that a number of us already do that. So if you are already a semi-guru, let me put it that way, it's fine. You can learn a few more details. The knowledge is never lost, like I say. But then if you have never tried this before, this would be the perfect opportunity for you to start. So please we'll make welcome Mr. Israel as he takes over. You can go ahead, Mr. Israel.
Thank you so much, Israel Ayodele. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes. Yes, I can hear
Awesome.
you.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to say a few things about UI UX and then hopefully we'll learn one or two from me, right? Okay. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. So to everyone, my name is Israel Nauma. I'm a product designer and musician, formerly transitioned from development to UI UX, and now we build products and save lives. All right, so I'll share my screen, then we'll get started. Can anyone see my screen?
Not yet. Trying to say not yet.
All right, let's give it a minute. Hello, can you see my screen yet? I'm not
No,
sure.
not yet. Okay. Yep, I could try again.
All right, let me try again.
Yeah.
Apologies, guys. I'm going to drop and then come back in. Let me see if that fixes it.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Let me go again.
Okay. But I think if it doesn't work, or it could. Okay, yeah, it's good now. I can say it now.
All right, awesome. We cannot see my screen now. Eh?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Apologies, guys. I'm sure it is probably a network issue or something. All right, so thank you so much, Israel. Um, yeah, for introducing me, and thank you, Lasisi, for a wonderful session. I mean, I picked one or two from what you said, and I hope you guys have learned a lot. I hope you're writing down or you're jotting a lot of things down. What he said, a lot of key stuff, a lot of key hacks to exploring UI UX as a career path, right? So I'm just going to build on that and show you guys really foundational stuff, fundamentals of product design or UI UX. So I prefer to call it product design. There's a lot of debate about which one is right, which one is wrong, and stuff like that. We're here for the beginners class, so let's not debate which one is right or which one is wrong. They are both correct, actually, right? So for the sake of this class, UI UX and product design at the same time. So I might just use them interchangeably. All right, so um, yeah, so introducing you to UI UX design. First of all, I'm sure most of us have already made some researches on our own. Say Google, YouTube, read about what is UI UX design, what it involves, how do I start a career in UI UX design, what steps should I take to get started in UI UX design. And to build up on what Masi already talked about, I'm going to say one or two things that UI UX is. Like you can already see on my slide, um, I'm sure most of us already know UI stands for user interface, UX stands for user experience, right? And this basically, UI UX basically is a field under the products, under the tech products section, where you address how a product is supposed to look, how a product is supposed to feel, and how a product is supposed to be interacted with, right? Same thing with product design. Product design is same thing, the process of creating products or designing products that users can, interact with and stuff like that. Now, what are some of the things that UI UX is not? It is not graphics design, right? I've had some of my friends, I'm sure some of us here have also heard that. I've had some of my friends tell me, easy, you can do, you can help me do a flyer now. You can help me do this, I have an event coming up. Can you help me design this and that? So UI UX is not graphics design. It is not web development. And so when people try to get into tech as well, they have the assumption that anything in tech involves coding, it involves hacking or anything. UI UX is not hacking. You are not touching code like Lasisi already mentioned. You are not touching it. You don't have to do anything code. You want to learn coding, that's on your own. That's just extra skills on your own, right? But you are not going to be required in a day-to-day job as a UI UX designer to touch code or to create codes, right? Yes. So while we understand that, let's move on. Let's move on. Why exactly are we supposed to be exploring a career in UI UX? Right? What exactly makes UI UX special or needed in the entire tech ecosystem? Okay. Now, this will make us this will have us explore the life cycle of a product, right? So in the life cycle of a product, there are a lot of people involved. So you already know that developers, and then most times people don't know that amongst developers, there are the front-end developers, there are the back-end developers, and there are, sorry, apologies. Yeah, so there are front-end developers, there are back-end developers, there are DevOps engineers, there are product managers, and all of these guys contribute to the life cycle of a product. Now, where does UI UX come into play? Why is UI UX so important in this entire ecosystem or in this life cycle, right? Now, if you look at the core idea of UI UX, the entire idea of UI UX is to create products that people are going to use, and and they're not going to have troubles using that product. For example, if you are to create, now this is on design generally, if you are to create a chair, an ergonomic chair, I know many of us must have heard what ergonomic, must know what ergonomic chairs mean, right? So if you are to create an ergonomic chair that is supposed to help your lower back, now when you create the chair or you design a chair and it is looking like a cup, we're not going to be sure if it is supposed to solve that problem. And then when people sit on that chair and it doesn't help their lower back, we definitely then know it doesn't really solve the problem, right? And so what UI UX does, what it contributes into to the entire ecosystem of products, is to make sure that we create products that are meant for the right people and for the right reasons. And so, for example, take a platform. Let me look for a perfect example. Yes, so let's take Kuda, for example. I love Kuda. Let's say Kuda, now many of us know Kuda. Kuda is a fintech app where you can send money, receive money, you can take loans, do a lot of things. Imagine transacting with Kuda. And now also one of the things that Kuda, okay, all right, let me use OPay for example. One of the things that OPay does is to provide, is to include the the unincluded, let me say it that way, to include the unincluded in the financial space, right? So you hear Kuda say you can, I mean, you hear OPay say you can create an account number with your phone number, just your phone number. Originally, people would have to go to the bank to queue. I remember when I created my first account number at GT Bank, then in secondary school, I had to go to the bank, join a very long queue to have an account number, and then you would usually have to wait for 2 weeks or more before you can get your ATM card, right? And then Kuda comes along and a lot of other um, financial institutions, fintechs, saying we can solve these problems. We can create account numbers for you using your phone number, or you can create your account number just sitting in your house, not having to go anywhere. Already, a number of people who would have not been able to access financial stuff are being included in that space already, right? And then the way they built the product, it was easy to interact with. You can easily just log in. Imagine that you went to the platform and you're looking for a sign up button and you can't find it and you don't know how to go around it. All right. So that is what UI UX does. That is the role that it plays, right? It is the first call to action in any life, in any product's life cycle, right? Bringing purpose to a product. Not only that, but also making sure that a product is built for the right reasons and for the right people. All right. I hope we're following. So next thing is so now when you want to explore a career in UI UX, what are the things that you have to consider? What are the first few things that you have to consider when you want to explore a career in UI UX, right? Number one, I have a list of things here that we're going to talk about: ideation, wireframing, user flows, design principles, user-centered design or usability, accessibility, prototyping, and then the tools that you can use to successfully create products and then launch them. All right. So number one, ideation. Basically, ideation, like I put here, is the process of developing creative ideas. Um, Ideation is basically the first touch base when you're trying to create a product, right? Uh, One of the things that you do in ideation is basically brainstorm. So it's not that hard. It's not a foreign language. Ideation is not a foreign language because sometimes you see it and then it sounds like, oh, you have to do a lot of tasking. You have to sit and meditate and stuff. No, not really. You just have to brainstorm and think and research, right? And explore, like I said, experiment. So let's say for me, for example, when I'm trying to start on a product, one of the things I do is research. I can just go online and see, oh, is there any product like this? What does it look like? What exactly do they do? Let me think. And then when you see that, you can sit and think, how then can I make this better? How else can this entire idea of inclusion, um, how then can it be, better solved? For example, um, some of the early fintechs, right, that started, let's say Kuda and the likes, phone numbers were not used as account numbers. You couldn't use your phone numbers as account numbers. But now, I remember last year, was it last year? Yes, during election time when there was no naira, there was no cash anywhere. People had to transfer. You had to transfer to a bike man when you take a bike, right? And then OP really came true. When you ask most of those guys, they say, I have OP accounts. Why? It wasn't because they could go to the bank to create accounts. It was because they were included, right? They might not have had the time or the stress or the strength to go to a, a local bank to create an account number, to collect ATM, to get account number and all of those things. But OP created an avenue, made an already existing system even more reachable to more people, you know. And so that is ideating, that is thinking, oh, how well can we solve this problem of inclusion in the tech space? And then somebody says, is it possible for us to create account numbers with phone numbers? Everybody has a phone number, right? Every average Nigerian has a phone number, but not every average Nigerian has an account number. You know that, right? So that already includes a massive lot of people in the ecosystem, right? So that's just one of the ways that that's one of the fundamental things that you have to do as a product designer. And then next up is wireframing. Now, so the cycle, so I was talking earlier, the cycle of a product is such that it starts from let's say scratch, and that scratch is one, there is an idea, right? And then this idea, you want to make this idea a product, want to make this idea usable to people. For example, I say, I want somebody in Ghana to be able to text somebody in Ibadan, right? That is an idea. Now, how do you make that idea a product? Now, that's the system that UI UX provides. And like I already said, the first way is ideation. One of the early ways that you can also do that is by drawing up wireframes. Okay. Wireframes, like you can see the illustration here, is basically like a very rough sketch of what you're trying to build in mind. The reason why this is important, the reason why wireframes are important, is so that it gives you idea of what you're trying to create. If not, you're going to open maybe your tool, maybe Figma or Sketch or whatever tool that you use to create, and then you start, you're thinking, what do I do now? What do I do? Should I use color blue? Should I use color red? Should I use, right? But if you had settled these things in the ideation stage or in the wireframe, right? When you get to the visual design aspect, it's not going to be an issue, right? So one of the first fundamental things that you must do as a UI UX designer is to wireframe, is to sketch. And I'm not talking fancy wireframe, I'm not talking draw design. Now I see a lot of people on maybe LinkedIn or somewhere, draw up really cute wireframes, and I'm like, damn, you had time to do this. You would have used that time to build the product, right? So, but the entire idea of wireframing is such that you just draw up a sketch, just a skeleton of what you're trying to do. One of the benefits of wireframing is that it gives you opportunity to even test it out with people, right? So people go ahead to, before they invest into a product, right? Now, by invest, I mean before you give so much attention to it, in wireframing, you would have seen, oh, this would not work, this might work. Do you guys? So some people go ahead to create cardboard sketches of phones and actually test it out with people and say, if you use this, I'm trying to create a sign up. If you do this and do that, where do you think this is going to take you? I'll show you to people and say, do you think this flow, right? gives what I want it to give. Okay, so that's one of the early ways to start up a product. Now, I usually advise early. Now, so it happens that in while building products, so while you actually build products, there are some times that you don't even need to draw up wireframes. Okay, and you actually realize that, oh, I know exactly what I want to do. I don't have to draw up wireframes. But this is a beginner's class, and I always advise beginners or early starters draw wireframes. If not, you're going to have issues when you actually need wireframes. Okay, so for example, you're trying to create a product, or I give, let's say, I give some of my some of my mentees design challenges to do, and they come and I see only screens and ask, where is your wireframe? Where is this? They don't have that, right? I mean, the design is fine and all, but I always advise to start with wireframes because it has been proven time after time that wireframe is actually a needed thing. Wireframing is actually a needed thing. There are different levels of wireframing. There is the low fidelity, there is the mid fidelity, there is the high fidelity. Um, I'm hoping that we're already familiar with most of these things, because one of the things that teachings does is just helps you crystallize some of the things that you've already researched, or just confirm some of the things that you've already researched on your own, right? Just helps you confirm, oh yes, I'm at the right path. So for example, when you hear senior designers say, oh, you can actually wireframe before you do this, you're like, oh yeah, I actually do this, right? It just confirms your journey. It just makes you know, oh, I'm not actually on the wrong path in this career path, right? I'm not doing the wrong thing. I'm actually doing the right thing. Okay, so that's one of the things that teaching us. But the primary way that you will actually learn, that you will actually grow as a UI UX designer, is to find stuff, is to go on the internet, join classes like this, right? Join a community, design, practice, basically practice and stuff. Okay, so I'm really hoping that we're already familiar with what a wireframing is, what wireframe is. If you are not, just go on Google after this class and just read up. By the time you're reading up, you already have insights. It starts making more sense to you. You're not just reading something that is entirely new to you, right? Yeah, so that's one of the big picks that I find that classes like this do for people, right? So there are low fidelity wireframes that look like something that you see here on the screen. There are mid-fidelity wireframes. So by this time, you're already investing a little more into the design. You already feel like, oh, I've gotten what I want to do. Let me just add some, more shapes. Let me make it an actual button instead of just a square. Let me, you know, say that, oh, an image is actually going to be here, and let me just create more boxes and stuff. So that's a mid-level wireframe. And then hi-fi wireframe is basically the design, but you've not invested in maybe colors or a couple other structural stuff that you would want to have on it. So that's high fidelity wireframing, right? And that is one of the earliest ways that you can start off on a product. That's one of the basic things that you need to know as a UI UX designer. All right, next up is user flows. Now, so one of the things that I'm doing here is telling us like the basics, like the fundamental stuff that you need to, that if they tell you, oh, come and intern in a in a company and just help us, do stuff. These are like the basic stuff that you'll be required to do. Okay, so those are the things that I'm trying to tell us. So a user flow, yes, you are most likely going to be required to, create user flows, get familiar with user flows. The reason why user flows are important is it gives you um, the direction of actions that a product is supposed to take. For example, if I want to create a sign-up page, and then okay, like you can see on this flow here. Well, let me just see the example I'm trying to see. So if I want to create a sign-up page, and then I have a a and then I create a sign-up page, and then I ask my guys, or I create a sign-up page, create a login page, and then I send to my users to use. By the time they're using it, they might now figure, oh, you didn't create forgot password page. You did not create what will happen if I click on, sorry guys, You did not fit in the scope of what would happen if I maybe click another button instead, right? And so what user flows help you do early on in a product is help you map out the journeys that it is supposed to take a user, the steps that is supposed to take a user to get an action done. And now it is not basically just to map out the set of actions that a user is supposed to take. What that does is give you insights on if those steps are actually appropriate, if those steps actually solve that problem that you want to solve, if those steps are easy to navigate, right? Imagine when you want to send money on an app, you log into your CUDA and then you have to go to your wallet to, instead of the home page, you don't see your balance, you have to go to maybe your wallet to see your balance. And then you have to then click on send. And then when you click on send, it takes you to enter amount. And when you enter amount, it tells you send the money, right? So many times when you design without some of these things, you miss out on a lot of things. You lose a lot of flows, right? But when you try to create user flows, you capture many of these things. You say, I want this step to be as simple as possible. How simple can it be? I want users to just be able to send their money as quick as possible. What is required to send money? Just your account number and the person's account number and the amounts that I want them to send, right? And then you map out a very simple way to do that. And then you tailor your design to that epics, right? So I think that user flow is a very easy way to not lose out on certain ideas, on certain processes while building up products. Are we following? If I'm following, please just drop an emoji. I want to be sure that I'm following. All right, nice. Thank you guys. Okay, so let's move on. Next up, understanding design principles. I think I'm shorting this. So sorry guys, I think I'm beginning to see everything. All right, so understanding design principles. Now, many times a lot of people come into UI UX without having maybe full background of or a background in design or knowing what design is about or having any slight idea of what design is, right? Because maybe in their minds it's just about creating websites and the likes. But like the term says, UI UX, one is user interface, which means you cannot escape the fact that you are a designer. So even though UI UX is not graphics design, it is design, right? It is not only design, but it is actually design. As a matter of fact, in Nigeria, half of the companies that are going to be working with don't even care about research. They don't care about many of these things. All they want is a very fine design, right? So you cannot escape the fact that design is a very important aspect of UI UX or product design, right? And one of the easiest ways to create very beautiful designs is to master the concept of design itself, right? And the principles of design, like I said here, cuts across everything. If you read old books about design and stuff, it was always to solve a problem. Design has always been for the sole idea of solving problems, right? So product design is not different. It's not because you are now creating digital stuff, people that things that people can use on their screens. Doesn't mean that, oh, it can just throw a button here, create a box, and then you create a design. No, that's not how it works, right? You're actually solving a problem. I mean, that's the major task, that's the tasking thing about UI UX, right? You are not just creating design, you are actually solving a real problem, right? So people come up with real problems and say, how do we solve the problem of people being able to track their orders? You know, I order for a shoe. I'm not even sure when the shoe is going to get to me. I'm not sure how this is supposed to happen. I'm not sure how this is supposed to happen. Design comes through, right? Then as a designer, you ideate and say, I think I think we should create a platform where we can, once the order gets to this place, we can say, oh, notify them that, oh, your order has gotten to this place. And then when it gets here, we can tell them, oh, your order has been delivered to your doorstep. And when you receive it, you can confirm that your order has received and log it. And now that is an entire process of design thinking, and then you now start mapping it out with a product. All right. And then you now start saying, oh, okay, now let's create an interface that really solves this problem. Okay. So yeah, so for actual designing, you have to be familiar, you have to be really familiar with the concepts of design, colors, basics of design, like colors, like alignment, hierarchy. You have to be familiar with concepts, typography, right? I mean, you cannot overflog these things, because you basically go online and then you see people create stuff, and then you are thinking, were you really paying attention when you were creating this stuff? You know, so really, one of the most fundamental parts of UI UX is understanding design principles, understanding that the colors you have in mind might not be the best color, understanding that the typography you want to use might not work best. It might be better to use one typography, one font. It might be better to use this font. It might be better to align information a certain way. It might be better to, use a certain color, or I'm sure we get the idea, right? So these things cannot be overflowed. You can't really overflow these things, right? Alignment, repetition, balance, contrast. These are basic things that we have to understand as a designer, so that you can create very useful design and very pleasing design. Designs that when people look at it, they don't have to look away. They can look at it and look at it again, and it just makes sense and it just flows, right? All right, so let's move on. User-centered design. So like I said here, designs are usually, and like I've already said, designs are usually created with a specific set of people in mind. And so one of the reasons why UI UX is a true problem solving is the fact that you have to solve an actual problem. You get? And solving an actual problem is not easy. Why? Because we're not trying to solve everybody's problem. We are trying to solve certain people's problem. Okay? If I want to cook food for everybody, I'm sure I'm not going to know what exactly to cook. If they tell you you are going to cook food for my wedding, I'm sure you're already thinking jollof rice already, and maybe a goosey soup, and but the reason why there are varieties in wedding is because some people might not want jollof rice, some people might want this, some people might want this. Already there is that division, right? And then what gives purpose to any of the foods that they serve at a wedding is the fact that it meets the needs of the people that really want it. Imagine you go to a wedding looking for jollof and they give you beans. Come on, we're going to fight in that wedding. You did not rate me. How will you bring me to a wedding and give me beans? Why? Did you tell me it's a beans festival? Right? So one of the basic things about design is the fact that you are solving a set of people's problem, not everybody's problem, which now gives rise for things like research, for things like interviews, for things like reviews, for things like testing, right? So when you are creating an app where people can save money, when you're creating an app for where people can save money, you're not going to be creating an app like that. Imagine Piggyvest, they created Piggyvest not for let's say the demography that it is now, maybe millennials, around millennials, and maybe Gen Z mostly. Imagine they created it for old people. And then when you log into the platform, you're seeing big fonts, because if you're creating an app for old people, it shouldn't be in dark mode. It has to be big fonts. The buttons have to be big. You have to clearly tell them what they're going to do here. In fact, when they log in, you have to tell them, in this app, you are here to save. And then, it has to be as basic as possible. I'm sure you're not going to come into an app and then see the big fonts and say, oh yeah, I think I like this app. I'm going to stay here. No, no, you're not going to do that. Right. But the reason why you love apps like PickyVest, apps like Kuda, is because they had you in mind. When they had dark mode, we were all excited, right? Because those are things that we are familiar with. My parents are not familiar with dark mode, right? Or they might not be excited about dark mode when they release a feature of dark mode. But you are going to be. Why? It's because they are building the product tailored to you, right? And so one of the basic things that you do as a UI UX designer is to build products that are tailored to people, right? And those people's problems must be solved in the most simple way. I mean, one of the things you want to do. People have a lot going on for them. People have a lot they are going through. I can't have a stressful day and then I come on an app just to browse, or let's say on Instagram. I come to Instagram just to scroll. And you tell me, for me to like a picture, I have to click on menu, look for like, and then click on like. That's stressful already, right? So one of the basic things that you want to do for users is to create an app that is as easy as possible. Make people's life easy. People have a lot of things stressing them. Make life easy for them, right? And then user-centered design is basically building apps that is tailored around a specific set of people and involves a lot of research. For you to build an app for old people, you can't be interviewing Gen Zs. You can't be interviewing millennials, right? You have to interview the right people. You have to speak with the right people. You have to test with the right people. You have to engage with the right people. And it's just a circle of build, discuss with these people, and then make changes. You make changes, you go back to them, test with them, you come back, you make changes, and then it just continues, right? I'm sure we all see some of the changes that WhatsApp are beginning to make. Now, WhatsApp, you can do certain things, you can fast forward voice calls. That's making changes, that's building a product for you, right? That is building a product that is user-centric. For the longest time, we've all been hoping that you'll be able to fast forward voice notes. When they launched this, it was a blessing, right? So these are things that you consider because of your user base, because you are trying to build a user-centered product. All right, I hope we're still following. All right, so let's move on. Accessibility. Now, I think accessibility is really fundamental, but many times we don't flog it in design. We don't flog it in UI UX. Sorry, guys. I think that many times we don't talk enough about accessibility, especially here in Nigeria, right? Because we just want a fine design many of the times. We just want a very working design that users can use, but there is not that place of inclusion. And I think it is a thing of, and it is not a tech thing. I think it's a societal thing. I think Nigeria is in, or Africa, we're in a very early stage of development, of evolving. So there are a number of things that we ignore, but that we really should be considering while we do stuff. Like now, you can see hospitals build. You can see people build hospitals, and then they have a passage where you can carry somebody with a wheelchair. Um, they have you can see car parks now have some of these things. Years back, we didn't used to have that, right? And now I believe that these are some of the basic things that we also have to be considering in tech, right? Building, I mean, we consider that it is one of the things, but we don't really consider it fundamentally. And I think we should, like building apps that people that are maybe disabled or that are not used to the very senses, or that they don't interact as same as we do. Maybe people that have color blindness, people that have that maybe can't see, can only hear and stuff like that. So they should also be able to access um, maybe finance, care, and all of these things, just the way you that you are completely well are able to access them, right? And that is where accessibility comes in. You know, accessibility has to do with a lot of, maybe um, inclusion, mostly inclusion, just building stuff that includes other people, using colors in a certain way. And this then boils down to principles of design as well, using colors in a certain way. Maybe having to include icons as well as text, or instead of just text, you can include icons, because certain people might not understand that, right? So, like, one of the basic examples is that if you are building an app that the elderlies are included in, you don't want to just use only icons. I mean, if I see a home icon, I know it's a home. If I see a profile icon, I can tell. But an elderly person might not be able to tell that, oh, this is home, this is profile. And so accessibility has to do with the fact that while you build, you have to pay attention to the people that um, are not included. It's mostly the disabled set of people, but yeah, it's all about inclusion. Accessibility is mostly about inclusion. I'm trying to like run up so that I hit the time. If you are following, please still drop an emoji. Let me be sure that you're following. And yeah, so, and then one of the fundamental things that I think you can do as a designer is prototype, right? The easiest way to get people to see your work, to interact with it before investing so much to it, is in prototyping, right? So prototyping, basically, you can create a design before you build a product. You can create a design and prototype it, show it to people. Maybe you want to pitch it to them. You want to tell them, oh, this is what I have. I have this idea. I think this can actually work. You just need funding to get things started. You can create the design, prototype it right before even developing or looking for developers. You create your prototype and have people interact with it. It is also a very good way to have people use your product before test your product before you invest too much in it. All right. Sorry, give me a minute. So, like I was saying, so prototype is also a very good way to have people use your product before investing too much to it. So I can create, let's say I'm trying to build an app like Kuda, and I'm not sure if it really solves the problem that I want it to solve. So I go ahead, create lo-fi prototypes with my pen and paper, and then I draw up what is it called? Then I go ahead and create and design, right? Create mid-fidelity design or hi-fi prototypes. Now, before investing too much into that design, I can just go ahead and prototype it and have my guys test it or have people test it, right? So I've been in the process many times. We're building a product, maybe in a company, and then we've designed it. We're not sure if it really solves the problem. We go ahead to our target users, right? The people that are building it for. Again, user centric. You go to them and tell them, can you interact with this? Let's see how you interact with it. You interact with it, it doesn't come out well, you go back and make changes, come back to them, they interact with it, it doesn't come out well, you go back and make changes, they interact with it, it comes out well, you know you're up to something. And then you go ahead to then actually design. And also, when you create final designs, you can go ahead to prototype and have people interact with it to see how proper or how effective what you have built is. So I hope we're really following. Um, and then, so that's that for prototype. Um, I think we're very close to the end. So basically, so I think these are the very fundamental stuff that you need, that you would require to practice or to do as a UI UX designer or as a product designer, right? So there is no way as a product designer that you will grow and get successful in product design without having to create actual designs, right? We've talked about how to create actual designs, you know, paying attention to principles of design, learning actual design, not just UI UX. UI UX is a field. It is also a design field as much as it is a problem solving field, right? So you have to actually learn how to design, because what people are going to see is not your design thinking. When people interact with your product, they're not going to think, oh, I see what he was thinking. Oh, no, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to, what they're going to be seeing is your design, and they're going to be clicking buttons or swiping or, or tapping or scrolling. Those are the things that they're going to be doing. They're not going to be thinking, right? They're not going to be thinking. They're not going to be, stuff like that. So what they are going to be seeing is design. So it is very important for you to make it as pleasing as possible, right? And then while we emphasize on design, you are also aware that it is not all about design, really, right? Design is secondary. If it doesn't solve the problem, it's crap. All right. You build an app like OP and people can't make transactions, it's crap. You build an app like um, um I don't know, so much fintech apps in my head. Yeah, because there's a lot of fintechs right now. You build an app like let's say a health app, and people find it difficult to book appointments. Is a mess, right? So, like I've already mentioned, one of the things that you want to do is build products that are for a very specific set of people for very specific reasons. And those specific people are supposed to be able to use that product without without having issues with the product. Imagine somebody feels like, oh, I don't want to go to the hospital. It is going to take time. Can a nurse come to my house? Is there a way I can book an appointment for a nurse to come to my house to test me, to check my blood pressure, right? Then you go to the app to book an appointment or to schedule an appointment with a nurse. And then when you go there, you don't know you can't find how to find a nurse, or you're not, it just shows you different stuff. You're not sure what to do. That's already mentally more stressful than stepping out to go to the hospital. All right. So one of the primary things is not just design, it is problem solving, right? It is problem solving, which then translates into design. And I hope we grab that. I hope we follow. Um, yeah, then like I have here tools now, because it's a beginner's class, tools that you need for fundamentally to create designs, right? From scratch to finish is basically your, now from, let's say from the beginning of my slide, I talked about ideation. So one, use your head, use your brain, think, solve problems with your head before you solve them in design. So use your head, ideate, brainstorm, and then sketch things out, draw out sketches, right? It will help you a lot. It will give you a lot of directions. Draw out sketches. And what tools can you use to draw out sketches? Paper and biro. Now, I mentioned in the beginning, I see people create a lot of fancy designs, fancy wireframes and stuff. But personally, I prefer pen and paper, right? I have, once my drawing pad is full, I get another one. Sketch and sketch. Because one of the things now, so the thing is, the way design works in your head is very different from the way it works in a very active company, in maybe a startup or in any company, or on duty, let's say on duty. So you might not even have time to be drawing up wireframes, to be creating fancy wireframes, right? So one of the foundational things to do is your biro and paper. Your biro and paper is your guide, is your lifesaver. Sketch stuff. You already know what you are sketching. Keep your biro and paper or drawing pad beside you. When you sketch, you already visualize what you're trying to do, and then you go ahead, design, mid fidelity, have your teammates, go over it and see, does this work? Does this meet up our? So imagine you get feedback and then you have to go back again and use ruler and paper and pencil to be drawing accurate lines. You won't have that time, right? Which is why I find or tablets. Your tablet solves it. I mean, there are a lot of devices. You just use your tablet and then you just sketch. So I figure that solves a lot of problem, right? And then I love Balsamic as well because it's a very dope wireframing platform. There are already shapes ready for you. You can just pick and drop. You can just pick a button, drop it, put it where you want to put it, and then you're good to go, right? And then Figma, the love language of every designer at the moment. So go ahead, go to YouTube. Tomorrow, one of the sessions we're having tomorrow, we're going to be using Figma. We're going to be creating a very simple landing page. So you are going to want to be around for that. If you don't know how to use Figma, you're going to know how to use Figma. They are going to be a, you are going so you're going to we're going to teach you like a very like really simple hacks that you can use to create beautiful stuff, right? So these things, this career path, UI UX is tasking, it's tasking, but it's doable. It is very doable, and you just have to just give it time. And then I'm not going to fail to mention that one of the very primary ways that you will learn how to design, right? That you will learn how to design is not from this class, it's from practice. Because what we're going to teach you is maybe principles of design, is maybe all of these things that you need, all of these instructions, research, interviews, and all those plenty tooltips, and all of those things. But how you get better, how you improve in your design, how you create meaningful designs, how you solve real problems is by engaging in real problems, is by creating real designs, right? So design every day as much as you can, design. You get better with every design. So some of the people that I've mentored in the past, I tell them when by the time you are starting, I want you to create like a landscape or a table of dates on how your design that you are creating is now. Right? Let's say you create a design first week, you have a design for your first week, and then you create next week, you're going to create a design, and then you have a tab for that second week, you have another tab for the third week, you have another tab for the third week. And then sometimes 2 months they come to me, or 6 months they come and they say, oh, I'm not even sure I'm making a lot of progress. I still can't create this, I still can't create that. And then I tell them, open your Figma file, go to your first week of design, look at this, your design. Now let's go to your 6th month of design. Can you see the difference? Right? So you can basically track the difference of what you do, and it's simply by designing. So if you keep learning and just acquiring knowledge and just acquiring knowledge and you won't be able to track your progress. You won't even be able to know if you're actually making progress or not, right? So one of the primary ways that you will learn is to go out and design. You see any idea that you like, design it. You see any app that is not fine, you think I can make this better, I can make this more usable, I can make this more interactive. You design it, all right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the fundamentals or basics of how you create design. You can clap, you can do better. Come on. All right, so thank you guys. I'm so glad that you waited this long. If there are any questions, I'd love to hear them. So if you have a question, you can just text it in, and then I hope I'll be able to answer you. All right, if I see he has a lot of questions, let's start with one. Hi guys, if you are speaking or you are typing, I can't see it. So if you have any questions, or if there are no questions, you can go right ahead and close. Okay, Benson, you have your hand raised. Do you want to unmute your mic and speak?
Okay, yes, I've unmuted my mic.
All right, let's hear.
All right, thank you. Good evening. It's very good evening, everyone.
Right.
Basically, this is my first class, like first UI UX
Yeah.
class, and I wouldn't say everything is sounding strange. No, though I've been doing product management earlier on, but
Oh,
nothing here is really sounding strange. You were really well. I say you were really simple in your explanation. But what I wasn't really familiar was with the aspects where you talked about the I think the wireframes, and you said something. I don't know
okay.
if that's because my network was breaking. I don't know. Maybe that's when you talked about using a pen. How does so like my question now is how does this wireframe work? Do you get like is it a drawing? A I don't know how to put it.
Okay.
Is it a drawing or I think that's the only place I'm confused basically.
All right.
Can
Thank
you be
you.
more simple on that? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Benson. Or Princess. So when I was talking about wireframing, I said that one of the early ways that so in the life cycle of building a product or designing a product, one of the early ways to one not invest too much in the product before realizing that maybe you are doing the wrong thing, right? And also to give yourself an idea of what you really want to build, to give yourself structure of what you want to build is to wireframe. Okay. So it is not drawing. So by drawing, you're not drawing a human face or drawing people. So you know how a website looks like, right? So basically what you do is I want to build a website. Now let me use this example. I want to build a website for I want to build a website for what company? Or let's just say I want to build a regular website for academia. Academia is an institute that teaches people um, tech skills, right? That introduces people both to tech skills and then mentors them, and also has a community where people can learn from each other and stuff like that, right? So let's say you want to design a website for academia, right? And you are not sure what to do. One of the early ways to have an idea of what to actually design is to pick your pen and paper. So I'm just going to do a hands-on drawing here. So I have my diary here. So let's say I pick my pen and paper and then I draw a website like my, what's it called? Screen, right? A website screen. And I say on the top here, I want our logo, Academia's logo, to be on my top left. Well, I'm not sure you can see clearly. So I say I want Academia's logo to be on my top left. Imagine top left of your web of a website. I want it to be on the website. I want on this side, I want people to be able to join a community or get started, that is learn a course. So imagine I have learn a course. And then I say, oh, I don't want to call it learn a course. Let's call it so. And then I have that here. And here I want to have menu. And then here I say, oh, I want, since it is a learning website, when people come, I want them to see a very bold text that says we teach people how to get into tech. And then we have a button that tells them, get into tech. I want to get into tech. Get started. That's wireframing. That's basically wireframing. Do you get that? And also, in case that is not clear, I
Yes,
also talked about three types of wireframing. So this one that I just created like this, just sketching, is called low fidelity, right? That is, you invested very little in it. Now, there is mid fidelity where you now actually maybe use a tool, a design tool to create actual shapes, maybe like balsamic that I just told you guys about, create real very specific tools and then uh, do certain things. And then you can go ahead to show it to maybe academia and say, what do you guys think about it? Does this communicate? Imagine you are building for an actual client. You say, does this communicate how you want your website to look and stuff? Like, before you then go ahead to final designs. Those of us that have experience in designing in the past, or you've made logos in the past, I'm sure you know that it is tiring to start a to make adjustments to projects when you've gone a mile, right? Imagine you create a logo and you give it to a client and they say, "Omo, can you turn this to butterfly? Can you do this? Can you do this?" So, but imagine that you made sketches for them and then show them certain sketches that you have, and then tell them which one do you think communicates these things rightly. They tell you, they tell you, they tell you. By the time you are creating the final product, what they are going to be making are going to be very little adjustments, right? So, yeah, does that answer your question, Princess?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Princess. Yes, Solomon, you have your hand up.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, hi, Solomon. Good evening.
Thank you for the teaching. I really enjoy it tonight. Like you break it down to my own understanding. But where I'm confusing is there a difference or similarity between users flows and prototyping? When you're explaining it, I want to know whether there is similarity or they are different from each other. Navigating from one page to another. So I want to get the full understanding of user flows and prototyping, and how does it affect and our designs, or how does it work on our designs. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Solomon. So, like I mentioned, so that there are two different things. User flows. Let me go back to my slide where I talked about that. So this is usually what the user flow looks like. All right. Now I can't really show you what a prototype looks like, but by the time you sorry guys. So like I mentioned, what user flow does is to help you create a sequence or a structure or a set of steps that you want users to take to achieve certain actions. All right. For example, what you see here is users navigating their way to, let me see, wallets, fund wallet, view. So the user flow here, I think directs users, leads users to maybe their wallet, or I'm not sure. But you basically, let me explain it this way. A user flow is like this, basically a way that you map out how the steps that you want your users to take to achieve certain actions. So imagine you want your users to log in into their app. You want that process to be as simple as possible. What you want to do is create a user flow for it and say, I want my users to, first of all, open the app, right? When they open the app, what do I want them to see? Now imagine that this first yellow circle here is open the app, right? And then it takes you to the next one. What I want them to do next when they open the app is to see an onboarding screen that says login or sign up, right? Yeah, okay, I can see you're following. Login or sign up. After that, the next step that they're going to see is now to enter their details. When they've entered their details, they should click on continue and then they will log in. Those are 4 different steps. And like I mentioned, one of the things that this makes you do in the life cycle of creating a product is that you don't miss out on certain processes. So imagine I want to create a login screen by myself. I just want to build a login screen. I might ignore the fact that they will go through an onboarding screen. And so when users now interact with it, they get to login screen and they are stuck, or they get to home onboarding and they are stuck. There's no next step, right? So what user flows does is to help you structure one, create very simple, or create the intended structure for how you want users to navigate the pages you want the user to see when they click on a certain action. Do you understand? So that's what a user flow does. Prototyping is that you have designed these screens and then you now prototype it so that people can use it, can interact with it, and say, oh, if I click here, this will take me to this place, this will take me to this place. So in prototype, they use the product just the way they use it, as if you've already created the design, as if you've already built the product. I hope that answers your question. So, all right, awesome. Thank you. Any questions? If there are no questions, uh, okay, Taiwo. Okay, as a product designer, can you use AI to brainstorm, or can you work with AI? Yeah, definitely, definitely you can. AI is your helpmate. AI is your body. ChatGPT currently is ranking as one of the most used AI. AI. You can ask AI many questions. In fact, you can go ahead and ask AI, how do I go about a project? And it can give you very decent suggestions on how you can go about a project, right? Or what are the necessary things I need. So yeah, you can definitely use AI for different purposes in the life cycle of creating your products. Any other
Hi,
questions?
Israel. Can I attempt this flow that you have here? Can I attempt it? Attempt to see if I can get it.
Oh, you want to attempt this flow?
Yeah, this flow that you have here. That it
Okay.
says, yeah, so it says home. So basically, I'm trying to get like from the home screen, the user would click on wallet. Then when they click on wallet, they can perform the action for fund the wallet. And then when they click on fund the wallet, they have two options on how to fund the wallet. So they can fund their wallet via bank transfer or fund their wallet by imputing their card details. So when they click
Right.
on bank transfer, they'll be required to copy the bank information, which is the account number, the bank details, and all of this information. So when they click on that, it basically take them to, the bank information to come transfer the money and all of those. And then once they do that, they get the success screen and then automatically their money is being put into the wallet. And then when they click on via card, it will take them to an external platform. For example, if the platform is using Paystack or Flutterwave, then they can use Flutter, which is the external platform there. And then once they're able to complete the transaction with the external platform, it takes them to the success screen and then back to the wallet, seeing their wallet being funded. Did I get it?
That's beautiful. Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. So that's as simple as it gets. That's what user flow. And so when I want to design now, I know exactly the screens that I have to design. I know I have to design a home screen, a wallet page screen, and which will have a button that says fund wallet. And then if you click on fund wallet, it is going to show me, bring up two options for me. I can copy. So you already get that. So thank you for that. Thank you. So that's as simple as it gets. Yes, Taiwo, you have a question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Easy. Um, Currently, I'm I'm working, and over the years, I think I've discussed it even personally. Over the years, I have a very strong interest in UI UX, and I even learned some basics. But I've been finding it very difficult to actually continue, maybe because of my domain where I'm working, and but it has been an interest for me. Many times I just sit down and just do some designs, and I enjoy what I do, but I don't know why I'm finding it hard to, or could it be maybe the fear of switching career or stopping because I don't really have the time. I just need an advice.
All right, thank you, Taiwo, for that question. I'm sure a lot of people face that as well. I'm sure a lot of people do. Um, so like you mentioned, you don't really have the time. So it's not like UI UX is against you or you can't really follow through. Many times it's just that you don't have the time. Also, I think that sometimes we are too afraid to switch careers many times because we've already seen the progress we're making in where we currently are. And then we all know the struggles that comes with switching careers. It requires a lot of attention. It requires um, dedication. It might even require that the other things that you're doing suffer. Else, product design suffers, right? And then one of the essential things that you have to know is that starting off in any career, especially careers in tech, are demanding, and you cannot do it 100% while doing something else 100%. It means that you are probably going to do that one that you are doing 100%, do this one 10%, and it is going to take you a longer time compared to somebody that maybe doesn't have a lot to lose and says, "Oh, I know could get anything else. Let me just sit down, UI UX design, product design, and just start firing through, firing through." They are definitely going to arrive at that end faster than you would, right? So my advice would just be, if you can, create the time. If it is something that you really want to do, there might be the fear. As many times is the fear that you you will just leave this and you are not even sure if UI UX is even going to be paying you as soon as possible. What if you now stay broke for like 1 year and stuff like that? But let me share a personal experience, right? So, like you guys already know, or like my bio mentioned, I'm a product designer and I'm a musician as well, right? It means that it doesn't mean that I'm a product designer and then I like to do music. No, I'm an actual musician. I sing, I perform on stages, I write my songs. I even produce some of my songs, right? Now, when I started product design, and funny thing, I initially was in development. One of the reasons why I switched from development to UI UX design was because it gave me room to, one, do music and as well design. Development didn't, because by the time I go for events and I come back, I have to think of where I left off from my last code. And then by the time I get to where I stopped, I have to now start thinking of where we're going with this code. So it didn't give me that room, right? Which was why I had to transition to UI UX design. Now, at the early time, I had to like almost pause music entirely for nearly a year. Almost pause music entirely. I was doing very little music, right? And that gave me room to learn UI UX, to do a couple of things, to give it time and give it stuff. Now I comfortably, or I decently, do my music and product design at the same time, and none of them really suffers, even though they are both going to suffer in certain ways because you can't really do two things at the same time, right? But I have enough room to do music as decent as possible and be a very effective and a very good product designer, right? So yeah, so I hope that helps. I hope that helps. So, but yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. All right. Yeah, I think somebody. Let me see if there is any other question. Okay, somebody says, who writes terms and conditions? Is it product designer to know? Product designers don't write terms and conditions. The business does, right? So the business. So when you work with a company, there isn't just a tech team. There is actually the business team. So there's usually a lawyer. There is usually, or businesses usually have lawyers. They usually have uh, compliance, HR, all of those things, right? So they're the ones that write those things. They're the ones that write, um, these are the terms of our business, these are stuff. All you have to do is take it and put it where it's supposed to be in the design, and that's it. Let me see if there are any other questions. Oh, okay, yes, somebody already answered that. All right, thank you, Israel. So I think that.
Yeah, some people asked a question that what are the resources that you would recommend for someone who is starting out in product design? Although I think you already mentioned that during your presentation, but if you could just reiterate that, perhaps she was not here when you said it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Israel. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So some of the things that you can look at: take classes, right? Take class. Lasisi mentioned that while he was speaking earlier in the first section, he mentioned that join communities, right? Be a part of communities. One of the things that helped me early on was I was part of the Twitter communities, Twitter UI UX communities, right? Join these communities, things like this. That is why we have academias, hoping master classes like this. Don't only join the don't only join the tutorials, relate with your designers, right? Relate with fellow designers. Take a class. Now, I usually advise people to take a class. Why? Because when you take a class, you basically get like a rundown of the entire concepts of UI UX design, right? You don't have to learn in part. You don't have to go to YouTube and watch one design about design thinking, and then the next design you watch is about wireframing, and then the third one you watch is about prototyping. But when you take a class, there is a structure to your learning, right? Provides a very decent structure to your learning. Then you go ahead to improve yourself. Watch YouTube videos as much as you can. So you see articles, read, right? And don't read small. Don't go on Google. You see the first article you see, read. Read as much as you can. Open like 10 tabs on your phone about one article. You get vast in the knowledge, right? So join communities, take a class if you can. I didn't start with a class, right? But I reckon that classes give you very decent structure. So take a class if you can. If you can't, you can still German it. Go on YouTube, go to YouTube. One of the things I used to do to be sure that I wasn't missing out on anything was when I go to LinkedIn, I'll check out job descriptions and then I'll see requirements. I'll see, oh, the requirement is skilled in Figma. Oh, I need to learn Figma. I'll see requirements is skilled in how to create user flows. I know, oh, I have to learn how to. So I make those lists down and then I go ahead and research and read and watch videos about every of these things, right? Every time I go ahead and I check any of those lists and I see, oh, there's something I don't know here in this list. I know, oh, I have more to learn. And yeah, so I hope that helps as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Israel.
All right. Thank you so
So
much for
yeah, I
sharing.
think all right. So I'll hand over. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I think we need to continue, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Israel, over
So
to
I
you
think
now.
I will just go. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for this session. I think I've gotten a comment today that we Israels would like to explain so much and break down things into smaller bits and smaller chunks. So thank you very much for breaking every bit of information down for everyone to understand. And if you perhaps you have more questions, there's still another session tomorrow, same time, starting from 6 p.m. Tomorrow's session, like you mentioned, is going to be strictly the tools. So, Somto, you were asking about what tools you can start with as a beginner. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced that well. I don't like, cutting people's names short. But then let me try. I think Somto Chi. Okay, I hope I pronounced that well. So if you're looking to get more details about the tools, the resources you should do, and etc., you're going to learn more about that during tomorrow's practical session. So Figma, which is going to be like the first tool to look at. You're going to learn more about that tomorrow. Other resources that you would recommend or would recommend for you who are starting out, you will definitely hear more during tomorrow's session. Then we have a bootcamp coming up soon, and registration is closing pretty fast. Very limited slots for everybody. So Israel is one of the mentors at the at the UI UX class boot camp. So you definitely want to be part of that. Class. Our team posted a lot of details, a lot of information on the group chat. So if you're seeing from Chidoze works with the team, James works with the team. So you have seen a lot of messages on the group chat about the prospect for how you can what you stand to gain as a product designer. So I'm sure that a number of us would be wondering, just like Israel mentioned, the fear of starting out or the fear of what if I don't get this. So I'm sure that you have seen their messages. They have answered some of these questions for you. So you probably, in terms of what you gain what job you can get, what kind of job you can get. You will see a breakdown of, according to years of experience. You can see that in the chat. So I urge you to look through the session. Then if you have more questions about the program, about the boot camp, it's an 8-week boot camp. Classes are usually during the weekends, Friday and Saturday. So it is flexible, super flexible for those that are, currently working. So I think Taiwo is concerned about how we can merge work and learning. So it's pretty, flexible for you. So the classes, live classes are usually during the weekend. You get to hear every detail broken down just as you heard today. So then we have honorary mentors that from time to time they speak with you. So just like Samuel Lasisi today, so you get to listen to other mentors as well. But the classes will be very, very um, 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 should I say soft for you? So I think someone was asking earlier that as a beginner, how do they start? I think that should be Moses. So although I responded in the chat, but then Moses, join the boot camp. It will help you learn. So product design, not just product design. If you're learning anything for the first time, it's a lot of details. Even if you're learning carpentry, you will probably eat your hand with an hammer, or you will pierce your hands with the nails for maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks. But by the time you continue, you would realize that, oh, okay, this thing is you're figuring it out. So the bootcamp will allow you to do that. So it's step by step. There is a curriculum. So reach out to Chidoze or reach out to James. They would help you out. They will share the brochure with you. They will tell you more about the classes. If you want to have a call with them, they can schedule a call tomorrow. So I think they're also going to be reaching out to everyone here personally so that they can look at how they can help you get started for the program. So please speak with them. They will share more details with you. Then the community is for everybody. It is for everybody to share details. So if you have resources that would be helpful for others, you can share on the community. Then um, okay, all right. I think if you can, so for those that have questions about the bootcamp, please do that on the group chat or the community so that you don't lose your chat, because immediately this call or this meeting or this session ends, you will lose your chat. So it's better that you ask on the group chat so that those you can still refer back to your messages and you don't lose any of the messages. But then you can still continue here as well. So as I was saying, the community is for everybody. So you want to share, if you have resources, if you found something super helpful, for those that have started already, you can share on the community. For those that are just starting out, just stay on the community, stay there. We will share details with you. We have all of these classes coming up. We have the bootcamp coming up. And for those that are quite scared about learning by themselves because you don't understand what to do, don't worry, the bootcamp is there for you. So you may not need to do a lot of search and trying to find details on YouTube, for example. When you have mentors like Israel here, and he can point you to the right direction, and it will help you figure out all of the details that you need to figure out. So you will not need to learn that by yourself. So you can have one-on-one sessions and etc. So please make sure you register for the boot camp. It is super helpful for those that are looking to start out, those that already have some form of experience in product design. So I want to believe that today's session has been amazing. I want to believe that you learned a lot. I want to believe that you are going to join tomorrow's session. So tomorrow's session starts by 6 p.m. And like I said, it is going to be strictly practical sessions. You're going to get your hands on Figma. So for those that have never seen Figma before, you're going to see Figma tomorrow. You're going to learn how to how to draw your first line, how to, understand what the basic functionalities are, so that when you go into the bootcamp, starting from 29th, you don't have a lot of questions. It doesn't look new to you entirely. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining today's session. Before we close, are there questions? Does anyone have any question maybe perhaps regarding the boot camp, how to get started, or does anyone have any question at all? Okay. If you do, you can raise your hand. If you don't, that's fine. So, like I said, the community is open to everybody. So you can drop your LinkedIn profiles there, let people follow you. That's how you connect with people. Just like Samuel said during the session, he talked about networking and sharing details with everybody. Then you can connect with either of us. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Through that, you can find other people, other senior mentors or other senior people within my own network that you can connect with on LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is one of the most, not one of, it is the most powerful professional tool right now available for every level of professional. So you can connect with me, you can connect with Israel, you can connect with Samuel Lasisi, connect with James, connect with Chidoze, connect with Miss Comfort, the Latin Day. You will find other mentors, within our network. So you will find them, and that would be super helpful in helping you find more communities. Then we're also on the group chat. We're going to point you to, other communities as well. Then during the boot camp, we're also we have some senior mentors that have founded their own communities as well. For example, the Stir Fry community that was started by Francis. So we can link you up with those communities where, if you're in Lagos, for example, you can meet up with other product designers in that community. So this is how community helps you. You can meet up with them physically. You can collaborate with them. We'll be sharing all of these details during the boot camp so that you don't walk alone. You don't go through the journey alone. You can find jobs through other people and their networks. All right. So I think we've gone through a lot of details today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to today's session. See you tomorrow by 6 p.m. And I look forward to seeing everybody or have everybody join the boot camp as well. Have a great night, everybody. Bye for now.